The regular Eveleth City Council meeting scheduled for 7 p.m. November 15th will now come to order. Roll call.
Councillor Hogue.
Here.
Councillor Koivunen.
Here.
Councillor Willis.
Here.
Mayor Vysalovich.
Here. Approval of minutes. Minutes of City Council workshop November 9th. If no one has any changes or additions, call for a motion that we approve those minutes.
So moved.
Motion made by Lillis. Do I have support?
Support.
Support by Hogue. Any further discussion?
Well, you know what? I read over them, but I wasn't here, so I shouldn't approve them.
You
Can
can.
I support it? Okay.
If you don't have any changes or
No,
anything.
it looked like a long meeting.
If you believe what went on there, you can second it. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item D, approval of tonight's agenda. Anybody have any additions or changes to the agenda or deletions? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve tonight's agenda as it's written.
So moved.
Motion made by Koivunen, support.
I'll support.
Support by Hogue. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. No appointments or presentations at this time. And if anybody wants to address the audience at this point, we'll allow 5 minutes, but allow time at the end of the meeting. Discuss anything that was brought up. If not, I'll move on to the consent agenda. Item 1, approval of payroll, October 16th to the 31st. An Iron Range Resources Grant contract for Lundgren Motors Development Infrastructure. They can't do anything until everybody approves this, Jackie, and
It's already been approved by the IRRB.
so
and
they
then,
can start digging if they want now.
yeah, I'm in contact with them.
I knew there was a kind of a sticking point there.
We have to call for the bids.
Oh, okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. No
Do we have to motion that first?
Oh, do we? I thought we did.
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Koivunen. I thought you supported that.
Well, I think I don't know, but I'll support it.
See, it doesn't matter if he's at a meeting or not.
No. Any further discussion? Oh, we voted already. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. No public hearings. No unfinished business under new business. Introduction and first reading of an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 11 Land Use Regulation of the City Code. Ordinance numbers 35, 57, 60, 62, and 67, second series. Anybody from the council have any questions on those changes? If not, Tony's here to explain any questions you may have on any of that. If not, call for a motion that we approve those first reading of the ordinance, repealing and replacing those items.
No, this is what's been in the works for a few years now, right?
Yeah.
And long
A lot of time.
road. Thank you, Tony, and the rest of the commission for working on this.
Are you making a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Hogue. Do you have support?
I'll support.
Support by Lillis. Any further discussion?
Mayor, I'm wondering if perhaps we could ask Tony to step up and read some of these highlights for the public on what this new ordinance is going to do for the city. I guess, first of all, I also would like to thank you for the work you put into this, as well as the Planning Commission. A very good job as I can see here. And I think you and the Planning Commission make some very good points, bullet points here on what this code is going to do for us. And I'd like just to ask you to share that with the public.
Well, you know, these codes are like a living thing. They have to keep evolving and changing, you know, as the times change.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, our community is in a different place now than we were 20 years ago, 25 years ago, so.
Tony, you want to give us a recap of some of those changes?
Thank you very much, Mayor and Council. Tony Jeffries, Contract Zoning Administrator. And City staff and the Planning Commission, after a thorough and comprehensive analysis and review, have completed this recrafting of the zoning code and associated ordinance. We have 3 goals in mind, all to try to make life easier for everybody in the city. Goal number 1, to create a user-friendly ordinance that would not really require the engagement of an attorney to understand in its interpretation, so that everybody could get a better idea about what the code means. Secondly, to make sure that it complied with and conformed to existing state law and its relevant statutes that the municipalities obligated to uphold. And third, to create a code and ordinance that promotes and stimulates economic development, as well as gives credence to a person's private property rights to allow them to do what they want more with their property. We believe we've got there, and we believe we've got one of the most user-friendly codes that we've come across. Some of the highlights, Councillor Lillis, that we'd like to kind of point out for the general public would be that we prohibit nothing in terms of what may possibly be able to be done with property in the city. That becomes a case-by-case evaluation from the Planning Commission and or the City Council. Nothing is blanket not allowed. That's part of the promotion of economic development and the use of one's personal property in a manner that they deserve to use. So as that works out, it also relaxes a number of zoning controls from the existing ordinance. It makes it more friendly to construct what you want, or how big it can be, or how close it can be to your side or backyard or whatever than the existing code. We do recognize shifts in society and believe that living trends have changed, and it's not the same as it was even as little as 10 or 15 years ago. We've tried to be proactive and allow folks to use their properties the way they want. One classic example would be if you want a deck, but you've got a detached garage in your backyard, and you want a deck between your house and your garage, you can now have a bigger deck than you were able to before. There were some restrictions on those sizes before. We think people are living outdoors more now, and if they want to do it inside the interior of their yard, we think they should be able to do that. It allows a greater percentage of structure and building coverage on a lot. As you all well know, we've got a lot of old lots in town that are very, very small that in modern times would never be newly created pieces of land. Lots of folks have had trouble putting up what they want because we tell them it's too much structure. We've relaxed that. We allow a bigger amount of structure to be on a lot now. We do not have any standards for what something has to look like. We just need it built according to state code, but we don't go so far as to say it must be made out of these materials in that style or in these colors. So I think in and of itself, I think a good generalized statement is that we've done a lot of thinking to allow people to enjoy their property to a greater extent that they have in the past.
Thank you. And is it also true that you've held a hearing for the public on this particular ordinance restructuring?
Yes, Councillor Lillis, that hearing was held, noticed twice in the official paper of the city, the Hometown Focus. It was noticed on October 28th and November 5th. The hearing was held on November 7th. There was no testimony, favorable or unfavorable, received. The conclusion of that and the findings of the Planning Commission were to unanimously recommend the adoption of this ordinance to the City Council.
Thank you very much.
And if I may, just one more statement, I would like to formally acknowledge, thank, and commend the Planning Commission for their role in this process. It was a laudable, it was a great experience, and the members of the Commission deserve to be noted for a great exercise in civic and community programming. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. I think we called for a motion, didn't we, Steph? Oh, anybody have any further discussion on that? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Resolution number 2. Resolution canvassing votes and declaring result of city general election held November 8th, 2016. Well, I suppose I don't imagine there's much contention over this one.
I don't know, we might have to discuss this.
Nobody running. If no one has any questions, can I call for a motion that we approve this resolution declaring the result of the city election?
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Hoag, do I have a support?
I'll support.
Support by Koivunen, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carried. I think in terms in general, this has been one of the freaking longest elections I've ever seen.
Yep.
Seems like it's been going on for 5 years.
Well, congratulations, gentlemen, on your landslide victories.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you.
Item number 3, resolution making levy and assessment against taxable properties for delinquent assessments, water, refuse, and sewer collection accounts. Jackie, one question. Do we ever get anything on these when we do this?
Absolutely. So we hand them over to Stephanie, and she certifies them to the county, and they go on people's taxes. And if it's utilities, it's the entire amount on the next year's taxes. If it's a special assessment, we tell them over what period of years. And yes, I get them twice a year on the tax settlement, and then Chris Mackey, she double checks to make sure that things actually get on the taxes, so we have some checks and balances
I was
built into
just
what we do.
curious, 'cause these people aren't paying anyway, the usual suspects, you know. And I was just wondering if it does any good, but if we get something out of it, then it's worth doing. Call for a motion that we support this resolution, making assessment and levy against delinquent assessments of the city.
So moved.
Motion made by Lillis, do I have a support?
Support.
Support by Hoag, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Item J4, resolution for support for the Minnesota Council for Community Growth. A while back, we had a meeting, it was, I think, a pretty good kickoff meeting with the Eveleth Gilbert School District, City of Gilbert, Town of Fayette, and Village of Leonidas on how we can promote the area as far as bringing in families for school growth and different things in the community. And if we all function together, because we're in such close proximity, everybody benefits when something happens, you know, directly or indirectly. And that way, if we pool our resources as a lobbying group to get something done, it eliminates, you know, some competition. That way, since we're all working for a general purpose, and I think it's a real good initiative. You get some brainstorming, and the school is a major part of the community, both communities. And there's different things to look at, and like from the school perspective, do you need assess all the daycare? Maybe we need a different daycare system going on here, a different provider. It's something all the communities can look at and what their basic needs are, because I know we've been struggling. Maybe it's time to move on and get a different machine to get that done for us.
And, you know, that's something I feel strongly about, is that whole daycare kind of issue that we've ran into in the last couple of years, and I'd be all for that.
Well, it's, you know, if the school's got an idea, then you can bounce it off the communities, and there's some way they can help. Sounds like good, because there's a bunch of different resources out there, because we're all interconnected in a small area. And I think it's a good start, and you can use that as a lobbying tool also. We had a real good turnout, and I think we came up with some suggestions, and do we have a process map too that she made?
Nice.
Yeah, if whoever wants to attend, you know, it's just not limited, but there's some good ideas tossed around by everybody. And it's about time we start, like say, bringing the barriers down between the towns and the school, because we all got the common goal. Just to make things better for everybody here and attract more students and keep the schools going and viable. And what this is, the other communities and the school are gonna pass the same thing, that we recognize the existence of this council and our participation in it. If no one has any questions or anything, I'd call for a motion that we approve this resolution of support.
So moved.
Motion made by Hoag. Do I have a second?
Support.
Support by Koivunen. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Renewal application for optional 2 AM liquor license, Red Garter Lounge, Eveleth.
So moved.
Support.
Motion made by Koivunen, support by Hoag. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Item 6, renewal application for optional 2 AM liquor license, Kaylor Incorporated and at Snickers Lounge.
So moved.
Brian, did you make that one?
Yes, sir.
Motion made by Lillis, do I have support?
Support.
Support by Koivunen, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Item number 7, approve repair of West Eveleth State Transfer Station pump. Is it up and running, Jerry? All fixed?
Yes, it is. They redid the pump itself, and what happened out there is, Joe went out there to do his, daily checks and found the pump was running and off its track. So he called me up and I went out there and he was trying to shut it off, but we couldn't get it off. Finally, we ended up getting it off with the main power. And we had, our pump guys come up, they pulled the pump out and they weren't exactly sure what was gonna be wrong with it, but at the time, so he did say it would be a lot less getting it repaired no matter what than buying a brand new pump, because brand new pumps are about $35,000. Well, when they rip it apart, they had to rewind it, put a new starter in, put a new rotor, some other electrical parts, and that's what the 15,000 came to. And at the time, like I said, the cart went before the horse a little bit, but I wasn't sure how much it was gonna cost, so that's why.
That was probably the quickest remedy to get this done.
It was
Fix
the
old one.
quickest and
Yeah.
most painful.
Well, accidents like that do happen. I mean, that's all you can call it, is an accident, and it's gotta be fixed, and 15,000 is way better than 35,000.
Well, you know, you gotta take the initiative and make the call to get it fixed, you know what I mean?
I think you did good on it.
It's just total, you guys did a good job, it's just total necessity, just has to be done. Either way, you have to go. Do we have to approve this purchase, Jackie, or?
It's a formality since
Oh.
we're on the record.
I'll call for a motion that we approve the repair of this pump. I think it's what, $15,000?
Yeah, I believe so.
New one is 35,000, we say?
And that
20 grand.
included a lot of electrical parts too. Like I said, the starter, the switches were shot in the electrical box, so they did, plus all the labor.
Man, it was something that had to be done, so
Probably
I'll so
things
move.
that could have failed down the
Yep.
road anyway.
Now it's done and fixed.
We have a motion to,
So moved.
motion made by Koivunen, do I have support?
Support.
Support by Lillis, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Anybody have anything to bring up from any commission reports, or?
No, there's the EDA workshop at 10 tomorrow, Jackie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Other HRA meeting, tomorrow at 3, so I don't have anything as of right now.
Cliff Terry called me the other day and they ran into something really interesting, which I'm gonna turn over to the Historical Heritage Committee here in Eveleth. His daughter lives in Washington, has a business. Well, she went to another business and ran into somebody who is a descendant of the founder of Eveleth, who the town is named.
Really?
In Walla Walla, Washington, if you can believe it. What are the odds of that? And what she did is she had a genealogy. She followed the family, and it goes back to, I think about, I got everything here, about 1580. And how they came there, and it's really detailed in the family. They've served in the War of 1812, the Civil War, and even had the family names and the ships they served on. I don't know how they were found that out.
Wow.
But it was really interesting, in a place like that, what are the odds of walking in a business and that person being there? Because Erwin Eveleth lived in Michigan, and he was a timber estimator. He was up here looking at timber, and he's the one who found the ore deposits. They're so plentiful, they're on the surface of the land, and that's kind of what started the Mesabi Range. But it was really interesting. It's quite lengthy, and it goes back how the name of Eveleth was spelt a little different and how it evolved into what it is now. But yeah, I was going to turn it over, and maybe they can put it in a version where people want to check it out and read it. It's pretty darn interesting. Yeah, to run into somebody out there who's a descendant of the namesake of the town.
Yeah, maybe they could get it into something and put it up in our library or something, so anybody wants to check it out.
Well, that's what I thought. They put it maybe in a different, more readable format. They got everything here. It's like 150 pages. But it was, like I said, it was just unbelievable. What are the odds of running into somebody like that?
Maybe we could have Range or have a print shop put on some nice paper or.
Did you ask somebody, where are you from? Boom, then it comes up, well, that's my name. And how they got, talking on that, it's almost unbelievable.
It's a small world.
Yep. It is. With the internet, you can dig all its info
Yeah.
up. I mean, you should look at this thing. Served on these two ships during the Civil War, War of 1812, they participated. I mean, they came over in the 1600s, the family. And eventually, kept going further west. It's really something else to read there. I was really surprised by that. You think of all the history, which there is a lot of history, but it gets kind of forgotten. Yes, Bill?
We can put it on the website. Forever.
Well, that's what I was gonna kind of turn it over, but I wanted to mention it to everybody and know that it is available. When you get it, some kind of maybe a booklet form, somebody can take it out and look at it. And they have the same picture we have there, here,
Pretty close.
and where he's buried, and I think it's in Michigan.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty darn neat. I'll tell you that. You don't expect some of those things. You take it all for granted when you're here every day. And these different names. There's a lot of history up here. I mean, history, worldwide. I was on a business trip when I worked at one time, and I think it was, I don't know if it was in Florida or where. Somebody asked, where are you from? And I said, Minnesota, northern Minnesota. What town? I says, Eveleth, north of Duluth. First thing I ever went, Hockey Hall of Fame. How the heck? Down in Florida, you never expect, the Hockey Hall of Fame. They knew it. I was really surprised. The things you run into. Brian, you got anything else to bring up?
I don't.
Joe?
No, I really have nothing.
Brian?
Well, just would like to thank all the voters who went to the polls and voted this most recent election, and congratulations, Councilor Koivunen and Mayor Veselovich. I look forward to serving with you for the next 2 and 4 years respectively. Or perhaps 4 and 4, I guess it doesn't matter, but I certainly appreciate the folks that took the time to vote,
Yes.
and particularly voting for me. I'm certainly going to do my very best not to let you down, and keep the interests of Eveleth at heart, and go forward. That's all I would have.
Well,
Matt.
you guys are, pretty easy crew to work with, because everybody's got the same focus, the advancement of the community, the betterment. That's what's nice. Everybody's looking the same direction, looking forward, There's no petty things. Nobody agrees on everything, but the main things, that are important to the whole town, that's what's taken care of quickly, efficiently, and really good, because everybody does their job. You all know what's going on when you come to a meeting.
I think one of our
You
best
all do
things,
your homework.
one of our best things is when we took that 5-year plan, and we're gonna fix so many streets, and, that really helps a lot to keep the costs down to everybody. And we're gonna have accidents or stuff on the way, like when Jerry had the pump, and that's just part of running a town. We're gonna have that, and there's nothing you can do about it, but we are all trying to keep the streets fixed up and doing the best we can.
And we're all on board with the auditorium,
Yep.
which is months away from being, occupied for different events, parties, get-togethers, so.
Well, I'd like to have a few council meetings there when we do maybe have a public hearing and things, so it's a lot easier for anybody handicapped who wants to come in there.
I think it was nice that the polling place was there, of course, because everybody could see what, what's been coming on and, what we have been doing with it, because a lot of people just hear us up here. And they finally got to walk in there and say, hey, I remember when, I've had customers come down to the liquor store and say, I remember when I was in there for, of course, I had no idea what they were talking about, but I would just nod and say yes. But it's nice to hear that type of stuff.
Well, remember we had our truth and taxation hearing? Everyone who came up there, they weren't there about the taxes, they wanted to see the building.
Yes.
There wasn't one question about the taxes. Everybody wanted to look in the building because they saw the lights on and things happening.
While we're on that note of the election, thank you to Steph and to Jackie for pulling off another successful election.
How did it go? Easier to have everything in one place there?
I think so. It's kind of nice to have everything streamlined. I think it was pretty efficient, and we were able to get quite a few. We had a 90% voter turnout, including our absentee.
Oh, wow.
voters.
Oh, really?
So
Were you able to cut any time down, or was it still a long day?
it was still a long day.
I drove by at 12 o'clock and there were vehicles outside City Hall here. So, and also thank you to all the election judges that helped too.
It was nice for the elderly, they could pull right in front of the door.
Yeah.
All that front was wide open. There's not a lot of walking, a lot of steps. That was quite a hike into the high school. A couple times I seen a couple cars parked up by the door.
I had a few comments of that too. People were bringing it up that it was nice, they can park in front, walk in, and it wasn't a golf cart ride away, or, it was very nice for them. And 90%, that's pretty darn good.
I guess.
That's huge.
Huge turnout. Steph, anything else to add tonight? Chief, you got anything to?
Just a congratulations to you, Mayor, Councilor Willis, Councilor Cookman. Be nice working with you for another few years.
Thank you.
I'm the veteran now.
You got
Your
one.
new term.
You got one more duty tonight. The tickets.
All right.
You do such a good job at that. Jerry, you got anything else to bring up?
Nothing else.
Rod, you ready for the construction season next year?
Well, this weather's been great. We've got most of the field work done for your next year's projects. So, like I said, the next council meeting will be able to at least call for plan and specifications for your next year's projects.
Good.
But all the previous authorization, be able to go ahead and get that field work done before the snowball. Snow is holding off till Friday.
Go from 60 degrees to a snowstorm.
Oh, it's been quite a year. Quite a year. Jackie, you have anything else to bring up?
I have nothing to add that wasn't already said by other people.
Are you gonna do the honor there, Brian?
Sure. Unless one of these two want to do it.
No, we like watching you.
No, we like watching. You do a good job.
All right. See who our lucky winner is. All right, we got it right here. Oh, here we go. For this would be December 9th, Wild versus Edmonton Oilers on 112 Fell Road, Sonia Simonson. Congratulations.
Oh, good for them.
Yep, for her.
Herndon.
Long-time residents of town.
Absolutely.
That's good.
Done more for the residents in this town than most people have.
Yes, I hope they can enjoy the tickets.
Yep.
Me too. I hope you get a chance to see that game. Anybody else from the audience have anything to add? If not, I'll adjourn the meeting.